The closing bell has rung, but the business story continues. I'm Robert Tan, you're watching Business Brief. Let's get started. Works Department launches a Green Lane program to fast-track priority projects. A political analyst believes Naga City Mayor Leni Robredo can beat Vice President Sara Duterte in the presidential race if she is endorsed by President Bongbong Marcos. And former Prince Andrew, the brother of King Charles III, is released hours after his arrest. Ayala Land backed REIT Incorporated posts double-digit profit growth in 2025, boosted by income from newly acquired properties. The Real Estate Investment Trust reported net income of 9.4 billion pesos, up 28% year-on-year, with total revenues of 13 billion pesos and EBITDA of 9.5 billion pesos. Contributions came from 2025 acquisitions, including Central Block Corporate Center 1 and 2, Ayala Mall Central Block, Seda Hotel Central Block in Cebu, Ayala Malls Abriza in Davao, and Ayala Mall Centrio in Cagayan de Oro, along with existing 2024 assets. REIT closed the year with 4.3 million square meters in gross leasable area, 99% occupancy, and 139.3 billion pesos in assets under management across office, retail, hotel, and industrial portfolio. The Department of Public Works and Highways is moving forward with a World Bank-funded sanitation project amid an ongoing corruption crackdown. World Bank Senior Procurement Specialist Muhammad Abbas Rahim says potential agency risks are identified and mitigated before the accelerated water and sanitation project rolls out. It also follows strict World Bank procurement rules and anti-corruption guidelines to ensure transparent process. The bulk of the budget is allocated for water supply infrastructure, while the remainder funds wash facilities, institutional reforms, and capacity building, as well as project management and technical assistance. Under the implementation plan, DPWH oversees the infrastructure components, while the Department of Interior and Local Government handles institutional reforms. The Department of Public Works and Highways launches a green lane to fast-track high-tier contractors for priority projects under President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s infrastructure agenda. Public Works and Highways Secretary Vince Dizon said the initiative, patterned after the Board of Investment's preferential processing system, aims to prioritize legitimate firms that meet strict technical and financial criteria, so critical national projects are not stalled by red tape. Dizon said Marcos told him that under Board of Investments agreements, there are green lanes for qualified investors, and there is no reason the same cannot be done at DPWH. As the agency undergoes an institutional overhaul, it is integrating a blockchain-based integrity chain monitoring system backed by the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry as an accredited third-party validator for project milestones. Naga City Mayor Leni Robredo, endorsed by President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., may defeat Vice President Sara Duterte if the 2028 polls were held today. That's according to political analyst Professor Antonio Contreras. On Bilyonaryo News channels At the Forefront, Contreras says VP Sara still lacks the majority vote, with only 30% of her base showing high plurality based on public opinion surveys. Contreras notes Robredo, who ran for presidency in 2022, would need a strong and popular running mate and with a solid political base in the Visayas and Mindanao to expand her national appeal.
If elections were held today, who can defeat Sara Duterte?
I'm going to be in trouble when I say that it should be Leni endorsed by BBM. It should be a Leni Duterte candidacy with endorsed by Bongbong Marcos. In Philippine politics, nothing is impossible.
All right.
Well, you're talking about ideals here. It may not happen, but you ask me about an ideal scenario.
PBBM is expected to meet Robredo on Saturday while conducting an inspection of a flood control program in Naga City. Meanwhile, Contreras points out that Senator Bongo is an unlikely running mate for VP Sara's presidential bid. Despite God's close ties with former President Rodrigo Duterte, Contreras knows there may be political friction between the senator and VP Sara.
We know the fact that they don't see eye to eye, Sara and Bongo. So that would be that possibility if they can unite just for the sake of the father.
The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas rolls out another 25 basis points rate cut, bringing key rate to 4.25%, a move aimed at jump-starting the economy following last year's slowdown. On BNC's Business 360, Sea Oil Philippines President for Retail and CFO, Mark Yu, expresses optimism over the recent policy easing.
I think interest rate cuts always help boost the economy. For every 1% cut in interest rates, you can see savings of about 250 to 300 billion pesos. And that's equivalent to about 1 to 1.1% of our GDP. So for every 25 bips rate cut, that you should see more money in the pocket of businesses as well as consumers. That should translate to higher GDP growth.
Still, experts question how far the central bank can go in sustaining rate cuts to boost economic momentum.
Well, rate cuts alone won't bring us to the 6% plus growth that we want to see. What do we need to see to get us to those levels?
We need to address corruption. We need to pour more into infrastructure. These types of spending have multiplier effects. Promotes trade, which then helps bring more consumers around the country, more confidence in investing in real estate. So it really starts with improving our governance.
11 hospitality establishments in Metro Manila earned spots on this year's Forbes Travel Guide Star Awards. 5-star rankings went to Nua Manila and Spa, Okada Manila and Retreat Spa, the Peninsula Manila, and Sky Tower at Solaire Resort Entertainment City. 4-star properties included Fairmont Makati, Hyatt Regency City of Dreams, and new entry Solaire Resort North, among others. Forbes Travel Guide also recommended Conrad Manila and Makati Shangri-La, noting that ratings are based on objective, independent metrics, with incognito inspectors paying for their stays to evaluate service and facilities. The 2026 edition is the most expansive yet, adding new destinations and recognizing exceptional guest experiences, including spas, dining, and luxury suites in Manila. Australia is openly seeking more Filipino talent, a move that could boost job opportunities and remittances. In a meeting with Senate Committee on Migrant Workers, Chairperson Senator Rafi Tulfo, Australian ambassador to the Philippines, Mark Innes Brown, praised the performance of Filipinos living and working in Australia, many in healthcare and other professional fields. He says Canberra needs more skilled workers and is expanding master's and doctorate scholarships, allowing Filipinos to work and bring their families while studying. Australia is also rolling out programs including specialized agricultural training so scholars can apply their expertise immediately upon returning home. Meanwhile, Australian investments in Philippine infrastructure, education, renewable energy, and agriculture are set to create around 45,000 jobs in the country. On defense and security, Australia reaffirms the Philippines as a priority partner, expanding military training with the AFP and the PCG, and donating drones to boost maritime patrols in the West Philippine Sea. The Department of Agriculture orders the creation of a coffee industry development office, giving the crop its first dedicated headquarters inside the agency. Under Department Order Number 6, the new office will centralize coffee programs, funding, and policies previously scattered across different units. The move comes as coffee demand booms but local output lags. The DA also notes that farmers are aging, equipment is outdated, and imports continue to rise. Supporting a domestic and export-oriented agriculture Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. says coffee as a crop demands full attention. He stresses that consolidated oversight will speed up project delivery, modernize farms, and link producers to high-value markets. Bus operator Philtranco Service Enterprises clarifies that it is under a temporary suspension of operations, pushing back against reports of a permanent shutdown. Earlier this month, an internal memorandum circulates online stating unofficial business stop operation effective March 30, 2026, citing serious business losses. Philtranco says the directive issued by President and CEO Michael Saban places the company under temporary suspension and does not mean a permanent closure. Founded in 1914, Philtranco is recognized as one of the country's oldest bus companies, operating for more than a century. Heavy rains caused by the prevailing shear line triggers flooding in Bislig City in Surigao del Sur. Residents in several communities were forced to evacuate. Emergency teams have been deployed to help in evacuation efforts. Flooding was also reported in parts of Davao de Oro. The Davao de Oro chapter of the Philippine Red Cross has started distributing hot meals to evacuees in evacuation centers. Heavy rains also triggered landslides across the Davao region. At least 7 people were killed. Metropolitan Manila Development Authority General Manager Nicolas Torre III led a coordinated walk through at the People Power Monument on Friday. This is in connection with the 3rd trillion peso march set to take place on February 25th. Torre explained that the walkthrough is standard procedure for mass gatherings, especially those conducted in high-traffic areas. It aims to ensure the safety of participants and the public while keeping major thoroughfares passable. It also includes identifying entry and exit points, emergency access lanes, and alternative routes for vehicles. In the UK, the younger brother of King Charles, the former Prince Andrew, has been released after a full day of police questioning related to the Epstein files. The former prince remains under investigation for alleged sexual abuse. He's also being investigated for sharing confidential government documents, an allegation which he denies. The disgraced royal was stripped of his titles last year and was ousted from his Windsor residence. Amid the scandal, King Charles, who has promised police the full support of Buckingham Palace, swiftly issued a rare statement insisting that the law must take its course. We'll take a short break. This is Business Brief. For years, the Philippine economy has been defined by resilience and surviving global shocks, inflation spikes, rate hikes, and geopolitical uncertainty. But today, the narrative may be shifting. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas has begun easing with a 25 basis point rate cut. Inflation is stabilizing. Remittances remain strong. Capital market reforms are in place. At the same time, early political positioning ahead of 2028 is beginning to shape investor psychology. But the big question is, are we simply stabilizing or are we entering a true capital market renaissance? And joining us today is Manny Ocampo, President and COO of ICCP, one of the country's leading investment houses with decades of experience in equity, capital markets, public offerings, and financial advisory. Manny, welcome to the show.
Hi, Robert. Good afternoon and happy Chinese New Year.
Yes. Okay, Manny, the BSP has cut rates by 25 basis points. Now, is this the beginning of a sustained easing cycle? And what does that signal for Philippine capital markets?
Well, the recent 25 basis point cut, is really less about emergency support and really emergency support towards growth and really a move towards normalization, towards a growth friendly policy rate. I think it signals that BSP is comfortable with where inflation currently is, and while it remains vigilant about inflation, it will be sensitive also to growth.
Yeah, historically, rate cuts stimulate investment. Now, in our case, do you expect immediate momentum in equities and bonds, or will investors wait for clearer global signals?
Well, for the fixed income securities, I think they should react a lot faster, especially given the belly of the rate curve, where investors are going to be locking in yields before the full easing of the cycle plays out. No? Now, for equities, I think the response will be a little bit more gradual. Investors will want confirmation from corporate earnings, and given that lower borrowing costs are there, they can borrow to fund growth and all that. No? So we'll take a look at that, Robert.
Now, the U.S. remains cautious on rates, China is slowing, and geopolitical tensions still persist. Now, how insulated is the Philippine economy from these global cross-currents?
Well, we're not really that immune, no, from global shocks, but from a trade perspective, we are less dependent, shall we say, compared to many of our regional peers. No? Slower growth in China and the cautious U.S. monetary and the Trump trade policy shifts affect us through our exports, remittances, and sentiment. But bulk of our growth really comes in from domestic demand. So our vulnerability maybe is on the portfolio side, where foreign fund managers are going to be risk off in the Philippines, considering our other issues on governance and the like. But so we'll take a look at that. I think what we are really trying to do is establish the Philippines as, we're taking care of governance. I think the BSP is working very hard to stay off the FATF gray list, for example, and moving up as far as or stabilizing the international credit rating agencies' assessment of the Philippines should work well for the country.
Now, having mentioned global shocks, are we benefiting from being a domestically driven economy supported by remittances and consumption, especially in times of global uncertainty?
Sure. We probably are one economy that is unique in that sense where, if you like, consumption is driven by remittance inflows, as well as the salaries of our BPO workers, and this gives rise to a middle class that provides a good platform for demand, even though global trade may slow down. But I think this doesn't mean we should be complacent. We should do well when we execute. We should do well in executing our infrastructure activities, governance, as well as productivity reforms.
Now, Manny, if inflation remains manageable and borrowing costs trend lower, could 2026 become a breakout year for capital formation?
Well, I'll maybe say three conditions would hold on that one. One would be manageable inflation, which by the looks of it, that seems to be in the bag. A stable to lower cost of borrowing, I think we're headed there. The challenge will be affirmative governance. And, this is something not only government, but everyone has to be working on. If we're able to address this, we're able to build up confidence, not only internally, but also foreign investors looking into the country, then that should provide, a good base for a pickup as far as capital formation is concerned, Robert.
Manny, you've heard the announcement the other day. VP Sara Duterte has formally announced her presidential bid. Now, markets value clarity but dislike uncertainty. Now, from a capital markets perspective, does early political signaling reduce investor anxiety or increase risk premiums?
Well, as you said, you take out uncertainty, that's good. But really, Sarah, going for the presidency in 2028, it's not new news. It's, if anything, it's early news. Maybe I'll put it that way. No, but from a capital perspective, the announcement itself maybe is less of an impact. I think we'll be listening to her. She's declared early, so I hope she's able to come out with her policy directions moving forward, and that will tell whether she'll be good or what, no? Or we take a look at hopefully other better candidates come along the line.
Now, Manny, you've mentioned policy direction. Now, how important is policy continuity and governance stability in sustaining foreign capital flows into the Philippines?
Okay, this is where to whoever the next administration will be, there are several things that have been put into place that work. We hope that the economic teams of the new administration will take to heart all of the good things that the past administrations have done over the last 3 or so administrations. No, so there's a good base. I think if anything, the new administration coming in, if they're seen as addressing corruption in government, then it really that's what people should really focus on, rather than undoing, for example, working policies right now.
Now, Manny, looking at CIMEPA lowering transaction frictions and BSP easing rates, are we structurally setting the stage for deeper, more liquid capital markets?
We hope so. I think taking away, decreasing the friction cost in transactions, taxes, rationalizing taxes, for example, which is what CIMEPA did, really help. But again, what we really need is maybe a broader retail participation. And I'll go out on a limb on this one. If and when GCash does go out to the market, I think it will be a golden opportunity to really go and involve the grassroots, the retail investors, because it's something a lot of people use, and it's something people are able to relate to. And, we hope that will be an opportunity that GCash should take to approach, and to bring on or convert their current users now of GCash into GCash investors, and hopefully investors in the equity markets as well.
Now, having said that, and looking at the opportunities that you have mentioned, are we finally seeing the rise of a genuine Filipino investor class, not just traders, but long-term asset builders?
Well, savings is, again, key in building that, because if people are really living from paycheck to paycheck, then there's not much. But as over the medium term, improving incomes and maybe putting that aside for savings and investment, there are several investment outlets, mutual funds, UITFs, REITs, and all. They open up, several new things. We hope that government will be more encouraging as far as the PERA, the PERA accounts are concerned. It's a major thing. Liken it to the US 401 case.
Do you see that growing today?
We hope. What is the disconnect, Robert, is maybe people don't know about it. So educating people, I think that's we have to go back to the grassroots on that one, and maybe the HRs of different companies, because companies are given are allowed benefits on that one.
Yes.
There are tax breaks they're given. People just don't know.
Now, Manny, going back to the OFW remittances, it remains strong despite global volatility. Now, are we underestimating the untapped power of OFW capital in fueling domestic investment growth?
Well, we really are. And again, that's a matter of educating the OFWs. What happens to their remittances? It goes to consumption. It goes to, a new car, for example, and, maybe outings to restaurants and stuff like that. It doesn't build up the long-term savings that, when the OFW comes back, they're hoping that to see a house and lot that they could, enjoy, retirement benefits, and if PERA is able to, provide that kind of a safety net, even better. So we really need to educate OFWs and all. No?
And Manny, about RCR, will it go above 8 pesos or stay at 7 pesos?
We hope, RCR, we think has a good pickup in things like AREIT. AREIT, they're the best of the best, the bluest of the blues among the REIT. And they've managed to, put in really good assets. No? Now, RCR has been putting in retail malls. They've been putting in hotels, etc. Again, that sets up a good base. Maybe they will probably grow. If they grow at the, close to 25 or so percent, I think they'll really make a good bid for growth. No, I think RCR has the potential of being the faster growing REIT, only because a REIT is already starting off a high base, Robert.
Now, Manny, looking at the local market, the easing of rates by the BSP, the landscape of the market here in the Philippines now, is this the moment for Filipinos to shift their mindset from income earners to asset owners, especially in a lower rate environment?
Sure, it really is. I think people should move. No, take a look at as people are able to accumulate savings, they should really look at real estate for number one. Real estate prices have just continued to go up over the years, and unlike in the U.S. or other markets where you have deep dives every now and then, but in the Philippines, despite rate hikes, property prices have remained fairly stable. So there. No, now as a proxy for real estate, REITs also offer a good, shall we say, participation into the growing property market, and we have a fairly well established REIT market as well here.
Now, what is your outlook now for Jollibee?
Jollibee, Jollibee is really looking for that magic formula, if you'd like. They've been putting bets out on brand acquisitions, etc. To my mind, I think they still need to score a big win on those brand acquisitions. So they're stable. Their existing business that gives them that allows them the ability to take on bets like these. To should I buy into X brand? Should I buy into some Singaporean brand or something like that? No, their current base, their Chicken Joy allows them to take bets like that. No, so they're looking for that big win, or hopefully a decent win over the medium term.
You see that happening soon?
We hope it. We hope it happens soon. So far, it's been not really as good as what maybe people had expected. Mm-hmm.
Now, Manny, in a world where capital reallocates quickly across emerging markets, now, what gives the Philippines a competitive edge today that we didn't have a decade ago?
Well, the Philippines, for example, well, from a decade ago, we were lacking as far as we were lacking on infrastructure plays a decade ago. That's that has come in now, particularly on renewable energy. So that's available now, and it's become an excellent an excellent investment proposition. It's become an excellent if you'd like, job opportunity.
And you see us moving in the right direction?
Yes, on renewable energy, on infrastructure generally. Yes.
And Manny, if you were to advise new investors out there, those who are watching right now, what stocks do you advise a short-term or long-term investor should buy at this moment?
Take a look at REITs. I think that's still, I'm talking maybe medium term. And, I think REITs will still be give you the best bang for the buck, and as far as risk is concerned, it will be there. And I'll count my top three picks among REITs as A-REIT, Robinsons, and Citicorp. I'm especially mindful for Citicorp because they may surprise in a big favorable way this year, as they, as their properties in renewable energy start to really come into commercial operation. They have, I think, 7 or so properties that will be coming into commercial operation last year. So we feel the impact of that revenue generation this year, and that will be surprisingly positive for Citicorp.
Manny, based on your observation, how much traction have REITs become for investors out there investing in REITs today, let's say compared to 5 years before?
Well, REITs before, I think when when A-REIT came out, people didn't understand what it was all about.
And I guess for those who are watching right now, Manny, before you go ahead with that explanation, just a quick info drive of what REITs are to those who are watching today.
Sorry, yes, okay. Real estate investment trust, so they represent a special purpose vehicle that would own stable income generating properties of our major of our key real estate players. So there's these assets, these properties are already making money, and by law these are REITs, real estate investment trusts, are required to pay out 90%, at least 90% of their distributable income as dividends. Now, because of that, you're assured, investors are assured of cash flow every quarter. So that's good. If you're retired, for example, you want to be able to rely on some cash flow on your investments, and picking the right REITs give you that kind of cash flow. Now, on top of that, the price appreciation, because the well-managed REITs are able to add in new assets over time. And these new assets generate new distributable income that give rise to, appreciating prices and increasing dividends, Robert.
Now, for an investor's point of view, how much of a difference is that in investing in REITs and actually investing in your own, let's say, condominium and having it rented yourself?
Sure. It's the condo investment. I think there are risks there. It's not a 100% guaranteed thing, because first of all, you'll have to look for a good
location.
A location, and then who rents from you? Will they may be good for the first 3 months, but they start defaulting and make it difficult for you to kick them out after the 3rd month. So you'll have to watch out for that.
Well, that's true. So that investing in REITs, that takes out that headache?
Sure, because the properties are professionally managed by people that know the business, and you're sure that they will make good on their commitments to improving or keeping their properties up to par, Robert.
And do you see those investing today, is it gaining popularity for those who are going this way and investing in REITs?
I think so. Maybe to let the cat out of the bag. The recent amendments of the SEC on the REIT rules, now allow a bigger, more diverse kind of income generating assets to be thrown into the REIT pool. So you will have tollways, you could have data centers, you could have telecom towers, you could have ports and even airports, for example. These are shall we say, these are high use infrastructure that government now allows the principals or the proponents to package into a REIT. Why? With the REIT, the sponsors are able to recycle capital. So they're able to get capital that they've spent, bring it back either to pay down debt or do new investments in the things they're doing. So maybe expand or improve our tollways, maybe to do better services at our airports and seaports. So you know who the beneficiaries of these types of things would be. So that's a new class. What I'll call them infrastructure REITs that should be coming out. The rules just came out, so that may be a new class altogether.
But it hasn't been implemented yet.
I think the rules are out there. They've been approved already. So it's different companies now getting ready to launch their infrastructure REIT. I think that's happening as we speak.
Now, Maya, let's look at the foreign investors. Are they beginning to view the Philippines as a long-term structural story, or are we still considered a tactical trade?
Well, from a trading perspective, the Philippines still is a high beta trade, country. So they will look at trading the Philippines, I think, until we are able to address things in governance, for example, in growth and sustained earnings. We've been left behind by our neighbors, and unfortunately, our neighbors are a lot bigger as far as capital markets are concerned. You will have maybe a handful of companies here that fund managers, international fund managers will look at. But if it's only 5 or 10 that they're looking at in the Philippines, they'd rather maybe take a look elsewhere, where maybe their universe is something substantially bigger, like 100 companies that they're choosing off from.
But let's say today, Manny, if you had the ear of the government, what would you advise them? What do we need to do now to be more competitive in the market today? Okay.
Well, the government knows this, but I think, 3 things. If government and particularly the BSP are able to maybe address inflation or the prospects, or they're able to address it very quickly. It's something that inflation doesn't run away. That's something there. So that's one thing. So government will continue and should continue to watch inflation and interest rates, keep it stable.
And
now,
yes.
Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
We'd also like government to promote investor education.
Yes, financial
investor
literacy.
Education.
Yes.
Yes, and that really gives you a handle on future capital raisings and listings, widening our capital markets.
Yes.
And, we should really look for opportunities to get retail participation up. And with retail participation up, I think it will also, foreigners don't want to be the first one in an equity issue, for example. If then locals aren't supporting it, why should the foreigners be the ones to lead?
Definitely.
In other countries, it's retail that will lead, an IPO, for example.
And finally, Manny, just a quick answer. If we are truly entering a capital market renaissance, what 3 indicators should investors watch over in the next 12 months to confirm that this momentum is real and sustainable?
Well, as I mentioned, rates and new listings and investor education. I think if government is able to move along those lines, we should be
good for the year.
Ahead. Yeah.
Okay. On that note, thank you very much, Manny, for joining us this afternoon.
Yeah. Thank you also, Robert.
Okay, we'll take a short break. This is Business Brief. Convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein attempted to buy a luxury palace in Marrakech in the days before his 2019 arrest, with Charles Schwab handling about $27.7 million in wire transfers on his behalf. Documents released by the U.S. Department of Justice show Schwab opened accounts for Epstein's companies and sent funds to the real estate deal, including a transfer, despite insufficient funds in the account. Schwab flagged the payments in a suspicious activity report to FinCEN, and the second transfer was canceled days after Epstein's arrest, while the bank referred the matter to federal authorities. Epstein did not complete the purchase, and the Bin Enakil Palace has been sold to another buyer. Nvidia is close to finalizing a $30 billion investment in OpenAI, replacing the previously agreed $100 billion multi-year commitment. The deal is part of OpenAI's latest funding round, which could value the artificial intelligence startup at about $830 billion. Sources familiar with the matter say much of the new capital will be reinvested into Nvidia hardware. Both companies will not proceed with the original $100 billion partnership announced last September. Shares are mixed in Asia as worries over risk from massive investments in artificial intelligence and the potential U.S.-Iran conflict weigh on major benchmarks. Shanghai Composite is closed today. The Nikkei 225 and Hang Seng fall, while Kospi and Straits Times trade higher. The ASX 200, on the other hand, is flat with a downward bias. In currency trading, the US dollar appreciates against the Japanese yen, but flat against the Singapore dollar and the Hong Kong dollar. It depreciates against the South Korean won and the Thai baht. The Australian dollar also depreciates against the greenback. In commodities, gold trades higher while oil prices are mixed. In crypto, Bitcoin rises over 1%, while Ethereum adds 0.6%. Philippine airfares are expected to remain steady through March as the Civil Aeronautics Board maintained the current fuel surcharge for the 8th month running. The passenger and cargo surcharge for domestic and international flights stays at level 4, with domestic fees ranging from 117 to 342 pesos and international surcharges from 385 to 2,868 pesos. Cargo rates also remain unchanged, with domestic charges up to 1 peso 76 centavos per kilogram and international rates up to 14 pesos 74 centavos per kilogram. This comes amid rising global jet fuel prices, which hit an average of $93.88 per barrel as of February 13. Philippine shares end in the positive territory in the final trading day of the week. The PSEI closes 0.9% higher to 64.65. All the sectoral indices are in the green, with financials rising the most at almost 2%. Advancers outpaced decliners 107 to 93, with value turnover at 5.6 billion pesos. Majority of the day's most active stocks are in the green, with Apex Mining rising the most at over 4%. And in currencies, the peso closes at 58.15 against the US dollar, down from the previous close of 57.996. Affluent Filipinos are increasingly turning to time deposits amid volatile stock and crypto markets. Time deposits provide stable, predictable returns, with interest rates reaching up to 8% per year, minimizing market risk. Salmon Bank doubled its affluent client base in 2025, boosted by the Bank on 8 offer for deposits of 1 million pesos or more. Experts say the trend signals a shift in wealth management toward capital preservation and lower risk investments. Century Properties Group closes a 5 billion peso bond sale, fully exercising its oversubscription option amid strong investor demand. The sale includes a 4-year note yielding 6.508% and a 7-year note yielding 7.628%, marking the first tranche of a 12 billion peso shelf registration program. The funding signals robust liquidity for established real estate players despite high borrowing costs and a cooling residential market. Century Properties plan to use the proceeds to refinance existing debt and accelerate its Century 2.0 growth strategy. Ayala Land sustained strong growth in 2025, reporting a 38.6% rise in net income to 39.1 billion pesos, driven by robust leasing, hospitality, and strategic portfolio management. Consolidated revenues reached 190.2 billion pesos, with property development leading the charge through estate lot, office for sale, and residential bookings. Leasing and hospitality also grew, posting 48.7 billion pesos in revenues, supported by shopping centers, office space, and hospitality assets like New World Makati Hotel. Ali deployed 92.9 billion pesos in capital expenditures and returned 18.5 billion pesos to shareholders through dividends and buybacks. Ultra-Bilyonaryo Lucitan's MacroAsia Corporation commissions a desalination plant on Olango Island, Cebu, providing potable water to communities with long-standing supply constraints. Operated by subsidiary CS Water Lapu-Lapu, the facility uses seawater reverse osmosis technology and marks the first phase of a public-private partnership with Lapu-Lapu City. A second larger plant in Punta Engaño is expected to go online soon, with an initial capacity of 20 million liters per day. The project is part of MacroAsia's strategy to diversify into essential services and ensure water security for Cebu's tourism and industrial hubs. First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos attends the Manila concert of world-renowned pianist Lang Lang, joined by Alliance Global President and CEO Kevin Tan and his wife Michelle. Tan praises Lang Lang as a rock star of classical music and thanks organizers for the invitation. The performance marks Lang Lang's second visit to Manila. The event highlights cultural engagement among leaders and prominent figures in the Philippines. Grey's Anatomy star Eric Dane has passed away on Thursday. He was 53. Dane's family confirms the news after a year-long battle with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS. ALS is a progressive disease in which the brain gradually loses connections with the muscles. Dane played Dr. Mark Sloan on the hit American medical drama series for 15 years. He also appeared in HBO's Euphoria and previously said he planned to return for his third season despite his diagnosis. In a statement, his family says Dane spent his final days surrounded by loved ones and became a passionate advocate for ALS awareness during his illness. American TV series Baywatch is making a comeback and actors are lining up for its reboot. Aspiring stars have flocked to Marina del Rey in Los Angeles for an open casting call for Fox American TV revival of Baywatch. The original series, led by David Hasselhoff, ran for 11 seasons from 1989 to 2001 and became one of the most watched shows in the world. Executive producers MacG and Matt Nix say the reboot will deliver heroism, fun and positivity with high surf rescues and classic beach drama. Original cast member David Chokachi, who stars in the new series, shares his excitement for the project.
It's not a new show, it's a continuation of where we left off. You're fast forwarding 20 years, which I think is a genius concept in itself. And they're just removing some of the elements that all of us as actors, on the show in the 90s would be like, really, this is happening? So that stuff's gone, but the essence of Baywatch, the camaraderie, you're on the beach, there's love, things happen. All of that's still going to be there, except on a heightened level.
Dallas Mavericks forward Cooper Flagg's game-worn jersey from his NBA debut just fetched $1 million, setting a new record for a rookie in the same season. Flagg wore the jersey during his first half against the San Antonio Spurs on October 22, scoring 10 points and 10 rebounds in a 125-92 loss. At 19, Flagg leads all rookies with 20.4 points per game, 6.6 rebounds, and 4.1 assists, including a record-breaking 49-point game against the Charlotte Hornets. The amount also broke the San Antonio Spurs star Victor Wembanyama's record for his NBA debut jersey from his game in 2023, which sold for $762,000. The most expensive rookie season jersey ever remains Michael Jordan's autographed 1984 Chicago Bulls jersey, sold for $4.2 million in March 2025. And that's a wrap for today's Business Brief. I'm Robert Tan. Join us again next week for the stories that help you plan your next big, bold business moves. Only here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.